For the last time in 2023, F4 United Arab Emirates Championship will race in Kuwait Motor Town. It's been quite an incredible week. When we first arrived on this circuit, we were not entirely sure what this place was going to give us. What we've ended up with is an absolute spectacle. A brilliant cathedral of speed and an amazing place to race. Tell your friends, Kuwait Motor Town is here to stay. And what an amazing place it is. Hello everybody, Jake Sanson here for the third round and the third race of that round here in F4 UAE. 20 corners, 5.6 kilometers of great racing action, and this place has delivered grandstand spectacles in spades. We have already had two brilliant winners over the course of the first two races in America's Ugo Ugochukwu and the Tiger himself from Finland, Tukka Tarpanen, finally getting the monkey off his back and getting the win. An excellent performance. Next up though folks, race 3. And all four of the major players in this championship fight are in the first four positions on the grid. Pole position once again is the Australian James Wharton. Alongside him, his teammate Tukka Tarpanen. Then Ugo Ugochukwu and Valerio Rinicella fighting to work his way into the winner's position for the first time. It's going to be a really exciting battle, but let's see what happened earlier. After a great win yesterday from Ugo Ugochukwu, today's race was always going to be a tough one to get right. So many battles from the outset. James Wharton leading away initially from Ugo Ugochukwu, Alex Bolduev and Tukka Tarpanen. But as the field swept through the first sector of the lap, there were a couple of drivers in trouble. The first, Kai Darianani. With him out of the race could continue after a brief safety car, but Wharton was determined to keep Ugochukwu and Tarpanen back. There were battles all the way through the midfield, but once Tarpanen made his bid, he was always going to put Wharton under pressure. First passing the American, and then as Rinicella passed Lyle in the background, Tarpanen made his bid to take the lead and managed to make it stick. After the safety car that caused this incident, there were more battles to come. A big incident between Yamakoshi, Karashkedo and Abkasava. Incredibly, everyone was okay. Another safety car and Tarpanen able to stretch away from the lead. Wharton doing everything he could to keep Ugochukwu at bay, and despite the American initially getting into second place, he would lose out later in the lap. First to James Wharton after this little trip around the curbs, and then Rinicella round the outside. A brilliant run for the Italian. For once, Ugochukwu is off the podium, Rinicella fighting to another third, Wharton to another second. But Tukka Tarpanen, the Tiger, comes of age, and the latest flying Finn is just getting started on his route to the top. Another Mumbai Falcons win, another flying Finn. Well, it's certainly a little bit darker than it was earlier on today. We had bright blue, clear skies. Now the mist is starting to come in a little bit again. These sandstorms get quite frequent over the course of this part of the course. But how is James Wharton feeling on the grid? Let's find out with Feline Wang.
Hey James, last chance to take a win for this weekend, and what did you learn from race 2?
Yeah, I think I just have to learn from race 1 and race 2. I finished P2 in both, so good points, but still want to get the win this weekend and just need to keep my head down and still fight for the championship. Still a long way to go, so.
Have a good race. 刚刚呢，我问到 James 呢，他从第2站的比赛当中得到了一些什么经验呢？因为他今天又从头位发车，那他也提到呢，他希望能有一个稳定的发挥，在整个的锦标赛当中能拿到一个好的积分。Also, Jake, back to you guys, and I just learned from the team they are using old tires from the qualifying, so this might be also affect his result. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Feline. That's crucial information going into this race, knowing that a couple of the drivers up at the front are actually really struggling to get those fresh tyres saved for this last race. So these tyres that James Wharton are using for pole position actually come from qualifying. You're limited to the kind of tyres you're going to use over the course of a weekend. There is Tukka Tarpanen, the man who has just become F4 UAE's latest race winner, part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, just like his Australian teammate on the front row of the grid with him. And James Wharton and Tukka Tarpanen are hoping that one day they'll be just like Carlos Sainz Jr. and Charles Leclerc, racing in Grand Prix racing. To get to that point, they have to do all of these steps of the task nice and smoothly. Third position on the grid, though, is the man that everybody is trying to catch. The man who has already won 4 out of 8 races in F4 UAE 2023. From New York State, the McLaren F1 Junior, Yugo Ugachukwu. He's won 2 races in Kuwait and 2 races in Dubai. So he is definitely the man on form. There he is, third position. All he has to do from his point of view is keep banking in those podium finishes, keep scoring strong, not let it lose ground, and he can just continue being the immaculate force that he is turning out to be. So Yugo Ugachukwu, solid and strong in third position. You can definitely tell him from a distance, that plain silver helmet, very much in deference to his hero, Mario Andretti, the last American to be Formula One world champion. Yugo Ugachukwu, of course, is hoping to be the next American to do so. And fourth position on the starting grid alongside the Prema driver, one of the most sensational and exciting overtakers in this category, Valerio Rinicella. When you think the move is not on, he'll prove you wrong, and he'll do it round the outside in the most daring and gregarious of maneuvers. He is absolutely stunning to watch, and certainly worth the value for money. Rinicella definitely one to keep an eye on throughout the course of this race. Behind them, there are some more spectacular drivers to watch out for. The Mexican Jesse Carrasquedo is finally in a good position. There he is, the Mexican in 5th position on the inside of row 3. So he is one to watch out for. He's always had good opportunities to run at the front end, but the luck has never been with him. But you can see he's fired up and motivated. He's got a lot of fun underneath that visor, this boy, Jesse Carrasquedo, one to watch out for. And if he gets half a chance to get a podium, he'll try and take the win. There is Zachary David, a man who has tasted victory this year. He carries the Maltese flag, but the whole of the nation of the Philippines is behind him. And Zachary David, there in 6th position on the grid. He took the win 4 days ago in race 3 of round 2 on this very circuit. So he certainly knows how to get the job done here. Whether he'll get the chance to do it a second time or not remains to be seen. 7th on the starting grid, though, fresh off the back of his bump and grind along the pit wall straight on the first race earlier today, Hiyu Yamakoshi. Bit of a scary moment on the run down to turn 2. He scraped along the Armco, spat out the other side into the path of 2 RHGP drivers. But fortunately, Hiyu Yamakoshi is okay. He's back at the front and he's ready to challenge. And what about this man? Great Britain's Arvid Lindblad, Red Bull Junior, was one of the most successful British kart racers of the last decade in his European and World Championship campaigns. And in Red Bull colours, he never failed to be off the podium during his FIA karting campaign of 2021. 5 podiums from 5 final appearances. Not many people in karting history can ever say they've done that. Alexander Abkasava, the Latvian, right up there in the top 10, looking for a strong charge forward after a solid run in Q2 yesterday morning. And he is right there in position. A great performance from the Latvian. He's making steady progress in this F4 UAE grid of 38 drivers, which is tough when you consider that there's not a single driver in that 38 driver list who doesn't have talent, who doesn't have skill, who doesn't have ability. I was talking about this over lunch with Noah Lyle, and we were saying this is probably the most talented feeder series grid on pure ability that there's ever been. 38 drivers, and they really are stunning. 3 seconds covers the whole grid, and there's about 1/10 of a second between each driver's gap. It is quite extraordinary, and it really does show you that at this level in F4 UAE 2023, talent and skill is what rises to the top. Everyone has had a good race, everyone has had a poor race, everyone has had a rough time of it behind the wheel, and they're about to have another tough time of it. So for those who are just joining at race 3 of F4 UAE Championship Round 3, race 3, race 1 yesterday was won by the American Yugo Ugachukwu to extend his lead in the championship. This morning, Tuka Tarpanen finally won his first race. James Wharton is on pole position this time alongside him. Anything could happen. So it's Mumbai Falcons front row. James Wharton and Tuka Tarpanen for Australia and Finland are at the front. Yugo Ugachukwu, 3rd position alongside Valerio Rinicella for MP Motorsport. Row 3 of the grid sees Jesse Carrasquedo and his teammate, Zachary David. Row 4 of the grid sees Hio Yamakoshi lining up alongside the Red Bull junior Arvid Lindblad. Rounding out the top 10 is Alexander Abkasava and the French sensation Théophile Nile. Akshay Bora starting a very strong 11th alongside his teammate from Denmark, Noah Stromsted, Nicola Lacorte and Noah Lyle, the Italian and the Australian. Row 8 of the grid sees Federico Rifai ever climbing up the field. Will McIntyre beside him. James Pazik and his teammate Kanato Lee. An all high-tech row 9. Then rounding out the top 20, Matteo Quintarelli and Lena Bühler. Just outside the top 20 is Alex Bolduev and Hamda Al-Kubaisi, who won in this category at Yas Marina last year. Dion Gauda and Rafael Narak sharing the 12th row of the grid. Then it's Rishon Rajiv alongside Bianca Bustamante, who scored her first point of the season in race 2. Sebastian Murray is alongside the Australian Jack Beaton. And rounding out the top 30, Keanu Alazari will charge his way through, along with Emilie de Geus of the Netherlands. Then Theo Jensen beside Georgi Janavski, Santaloc versus XL. Row 17 of the grid sees Kai Darianani alongside Flavio Olivieri of Italy. Then rounding out the field, the final 3, Jacob Bergmeister, Valentin Klus, who had a nightmare qualifying, and then Victoria Blachina alongside Luciana Morano. A really tricky race battle ahead of us here on this 5.6 kilometre circuit. The longest race circuit in the Middle East now, but also one of the fastest, so the lap times are significantly less than some of its counterparts. You're going to get a really interesting third race here. The wind is still very strong here. The sun is out. Yes, it's a lot warmer than it was yesterday, but the track temperature is not that much higher than it was in the fog and the mist yesterday because of how strong the winds are. Going to be a fascinating challenge for all of the contenders at this point. But is there going to be another Mumbai Falcons win? Is there going to be another Prema win? Or will there be a first win for MP Motorsport? Valerio Rinicella is so close to the win, he can almost taste it. High Tech have won a race with Arvid Lindblad in Dubai. RHGP have won a race with Zachary David here in Kuwait 4 days ago. But are we going to get to see something different? Are we going to get to see something new? Or will those 3 powerhouses at the top, James Wharton, Yugo Ugachukwu and Tuka Tarpanen, not let anybody have a go? A very tough race in prospect. The drivers just warming up the tyres and brakes, trying to get the heat into the top edge of the carcass and to get those brake discs glowing. You need to have some heat before you get down to turn 2, otherwise the car is not going to stop or turn in or get decent traction the way that you need it on that opening lap. A very tough race indeed in prospect, but everyone is ready. Everyone knows what they are expected of them. And in 23 minutes plus an additional lap, we will finish our time in the F4 UAE Championship at Kuwait Motor Town before they head on to the Dubai Autodrome for round 4 and then finish the season at Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. But what an amazing visit it's been to Kuwait Motor Town, and we certainly hope it was only the first rather than the last. This place has already won the affections of many people, and it's going to give us one final thrill fest in F4 UAE 2023. The final cars are in position. The green flag is flying at the back of the field, and now we're ready for the third and final race of round 3 of the 2023 F4 UAE. Ready? Here we go! And it's a good start from both Wharton and Tarpanen. A good start as well from Théophile Nile, who launches forward. There's a car stationary on the main straight. It's one of the Yas Heat cars. I think it's Quintarelli. So as they fly through, turn 1, flat on the throttle, parallel to the drag strip. The sun is shining big time, and the Mumbai Falcons are trying to keep the lead. But is that Théophile Nile trying to come through on the inside line, trying to make up some big places? Definitely everybody trying to squirt their way through turn 2. It's clean, and it's going to stay clean. Well done, everybody. And out in front, that's one of the RXGP cars. That's Jesse Carrasquedo, I think. I'm fairly sure that's Carrasquedo who leads the race. An epic start from the Mexican. Second place, that looks like Wharton from Tarpanen, and I'm afraid it's the 93. So that is game over for Matteo Quintarelli. Stalled on the grid, couldn't get going, and he should be able with some assistance from the officials to get his car back. Oh, 2 cars off, 3 cars off, 4 cars off. It's got a little bit too tricky on this first lap. 3 of them have certainly got going again, or was it just a gust of wind blowing something in the background? But certainly 2-3 cars falling off the road and coming back into it. Let's have another look. So around the hairpin, just getting a little bit too close for comfort. That's a PHM and a Santalok. I think that's Teofil Nile and maybe Noah Stromstedt just tangling. Easily done. But now the field is continuing on its way. That's Lena Buehler, very close indeed there, going wheel to wheel with Alexander Bolduev, and they just about keep away from each other. Are we going to get a completely green first lap? We've had a couple of moments, but everyone's keeping going, and Wharton's got in front of Carrasquedo now, so Wharton has got back into the lead past the Mexican. So James Wharton leads, Carrasquedo in second, Tarpan in third, Viniciella fourth, and Ugachukwu down in fifth. This is great news for James Wharton and his championship attack. Here comes Tarpanen. The Tiger's coming to bite, and here he goes, through past Jesse Carrasquedo, but the Mexican can hunt back down in the draft. But not quick enough, because Viniciella is now making his bid. Now, who's that flying out to the back straight? Coming out of the pits, I think that is. So I think that's a car joining a lap late. That might be Quintarelli. But everybody flying through turn 2 again. Drivers battling wheel to wheel. Everyone keeping themselves to themselves. And Tarpanen now into second. Viniciella now into third. Carrasquedo down to fourth. Falls off the road in front of Ugachukwu. And into the pits comes one of the RSGP cars. So that is a big problem for Raphael Narak of France. Now, can they get him out again? Looks like a couple of drivers have had to pit in on this lap. Several of them in trouble. Jack Beaton has come into the pits, and so too has Teofil Nile. Noah Stromstedt has fallen to the back. Arvid Lindblad's now on the attack. He's having a go at Hio Yamakoshi in the pinnacle. But it's 1-2 for Mumbai Falcons for the moment. Wharton, Tarpanen, Carrasquedo. Viniciella. Oh, that's a big mistake there for Carrasquedo. He's going to drift wide and off the road completely. So Ugachukwu's up to fourth, and up to fifth is going to be Zach David. Big problems for Carrasquedo. He's going to rejoin right in the path of his opponents. That was close. Very nearly Federico Rafai caught out, but Akshay Bora is going to get him around the outside as well. Akshay Bora doing a good job, but I think there's a puncture for Jesse Carrasquedo. He is tumbling down the order. A real shame. A victory already gone. So up and over the top of the crest. And the F4 UAE drivers are giving us a real duel. Here's Noah Lyle getting his move on the inside of Will McIntyre. Puff of brakes from the car in front of them. McIntyre drifts wide. Needs to get back on. Needs to get back on. Does so. But has lost ground to Lyle. Has lost momentum as well. Lena Buehler is going to try and use the draft from Noah Lyle to sweep past them both. And she's in the middle. Lena Buehler going wheel to wheel with Will McIntyre and Noah Lyle. This is great work from the Swiss driver as Lena Buehler tries to move forward. But down the straight they come. The top few drivers all neatly in position. And that's a nice lunge up the inside from Yamakoshi to dive through on the inside of Abkasava. So Yamakoshi gets past Abkasava, down the hill, through the corkscrew. Lindblad pushing hard to try and close up on James Bezique. Bezique has worked his way forward. Lindblad's going to get the move up on the inside again, but the car just drifts a tiny bit, and that's enough for Bezique to hold the position. Great racecraft. Wharton leads. Tarpanen second. Viniciella third. Then Ugachukwu, Zach David, Abkasava, Yamakoshi, Lindblad, Bezique, and Federico Al-Rifai. Those are your point scorers for the moment. But despite the thrills and spills we've had in this race so far, no safety cars. Maybe, just maybe, this is going to be the clean one. And there is Victoria Blakina, tucked up behind Dion Gauda. No, sorry, that is Lena Buehler. And running wide. A couple of drivers in the mix there in the right-handers. A couple of lockups, but that's about okay. As long as they don't flat spot, that's the real problem, because you're going to be running on 50 pence pieces by the time you finish this race, as Lena Buehler tucks in behind Dion Gauda. And Jesse Carrasquedo came across the line at the end of that last lap in about 17th or 18th place. Very unfortunate, considering he led on lap 1 initially. So no change at the top. Wharton, Tarpanen and Viniciella. Ugachukwu still there in 4th position. It's the same 3 men on the podium as we had in race 2, but in a slightly different order. So Bueller's now having to deal with Bustamante, Rajiv, Kadashkedo and Al-Kubaisi. They're going to come through together, and Wharton is trying to get out of the tow for Tukka Tarpanen. Remember how Tarpanen dealt with him earlier? There was nothing in it between the two, and now Tarpanen has figured out how to win. He's not going to want to stop. Up over the top of the crest, through the carousel. Left, right, then left again. Hugging the apex of this tight squeeze on the inside line. Some great performances so far here. 16 minutes and 18 left to go. The engineers working hard to try and figure out how this data is correlating with the length of those tyres. Will the degradation go the distance? Some of them are on old tyres from qualifying, don't forget. Tarpanen pops up with a 1:55.2, quicker than James Wharton by nearly 0.6 of a second. Tarpanen really feeling the rhythm of this circuit. But Wharton has won here before, so too has Tarpanen. Rinicella has not, and Rinicella really wants to end his journey in Kuwait with a victory. Currently sat in 3rd. Can his tyres go the distance better than the Mumbai Falcons pair in front? And Rinicella is one of those drivers that really will go for the Banzai overtake and find a way to make it stick too. 15.5 on the clock. Up and over the top of the crest. Wharton being hunted down by Tarpanen. Rinicella's coming with him. Big lock from Tarpanen. He's pushing hard here. And again, this final corner, because of the high winds, a lot of dust and a lot of sand coming onto the circuit at the final bend, making grip very tough to find indeed. Rinicella now sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:55.2, as he gets within 0.7 of Tarpanen. Tarpanen is within 0.8 of Wharton. Wharton desperately trying to shake him off. In the background, we've got a good battle for 8th position. This is Abkasava, Lindblad and Rifai. Down to the braking zone. Who's going to be bravest? Lindblad hoping to hold it in the inside line. The Red Bull Junior hoping to take the place, and he has. So Lindblad gets through. Pizik is doing his best to get away from them. And that is Rifai and Abkasava dueling away behind. And next up, in 11th place, is Akshay Bora, who has been charging his way through this field. His name in Sanskrit simply translates as invincible. Considering the fever he had yesterday and the performances he's pulling off yesterday and today, I'd say that's pretty accurate. Wharton, Tarpanen, Rinicella, Yugunchukwu, Zach David and Hio Yamakoshi. Then Pizik, Abkasava, Lindblad and Rifai from Bora, Lyle, Lacorte, Gouda and McIntyre. Bueller is next, then Bustamante, Rajiv and Karashkedo. Very unfortunate for Jesse Karashkedo, up in the lead at one stage, now down in 19th. And having problems dealing with Kanato Lee, Kiano Alazari and Hamda Al-Kubaisi. So the As heats have not had the best of races so far, although Kiano Alazari has crept all the way up from the back to 21st position. He is gunning through the field like wildfire. Wharton, plenty of curb on the approach to the braking zone for the final bend. This is turning into a pure race now. Hopefully we're going to see this through without safety car interruption. Wharton, Tarpanen, Rinicella, Yugunchukwu, dropping back now. David and Yamakoshi, Pizik, Abkasava, Lindblad and Rifai. And look at Wharton, trying desperately to break the toe of Tukka Tarpanen. He does not want Tarpanen in his slipstream for one iota. Rinicella is right in behind Tarpanen though. So Tukka's got to get on with this now. Fastest man of the race is Yuga Wagachukwu, a 1:55.062. So he's trying to close up on these three, having lost momentum initially. Now normally by this point we'd have a safety car and the field would tighten up and they'd get a better run on their restarts. But so far in this race, everybody's just continuing on. So it's a nice change actually to see a pure race between these youngsters to see how it goes. Excellent run so far. A really exciting run. So Tukka desperately trying to stay in the draft of James Wharton. It's very hard to run in the wash of the car in front of you. especially through this section where you are leaning on the apex every single time through. You've got to nail the trajectory through this part of the course as well. Not easy to run at the limit. And Yuga Wagachukwu, fastest of all in the second sector. The American is returning. He is charging back to contention. This is a really strong battle forward. Wharton, Tarpanen, Ridicella, and in the background, starting to get bigger, is Yuga Wagachukwu. He is catching them. Zach David, 5th position. The other race winner so far this year. Along with Arvid Lindblad, who is in 8th behind Yamakoshi and Bezique. But Wharton's really starting to feel the threat now from Tarpanen. 6/10 back. Ridicella is 6/10 back from Tarpanen. And Wagachukwu sets another fastest lap. A 1:54.8 now for the American. He is hunting them down big style. So the incident between Noah Stromsted and the 44 car, which is obviously Teofil Nahl, is going to be investigated after the race. So Nahl and Stromsted, who have dropped quite a considerate way back in the grid. Noah Stromsted is down in 28th, and Teofil Nahl has rejoined, albeit at the back. So a fascinating situation. And I can tell you now that every single driver in this field is currently racing. Quintarelli was able to get the car started again and get back into position. He's down at the back, but he is circulating and he is running. So the contenders continue on their way through. This is a very natural, very pure race battle that's developing here. Not sullied by safety cars, not sullied by yellow flags. The drivers are just getting on with it. If there's an opportunity for an overtake, make it happen. And that problem's further back. Rinicella's had a problem. Wagachukwu goes by and Rinicella has drifted off the road. Now what has happened to Rinicella? Has his tyres finally decided we've had enough? Because you've got to keep them going for a long time, and obviously they're used to having stop-start races. This is a pure lights to flag race by the look of it. What happened to Rinicella? Let's look in the background. He's already gone. Wagachukwu's got him, and Rinicella's just drifted off the road. Bit of pressure from the Italian as Yuga Wagachukwu gets back on the podium. So Rinicella has now got to run away and hide from Zach David. Car 5, track limits at turn 20. First warning, that's Will McIntyre. Down the drag strip straight. And Tarpanen is still close enough to Wharton to keep the Australian worried. Wagachukwu doing well in 3rd from Rinicella and David. 6th place is Yamakoshi on his own. Then we've got this swarm of cars coming towards us. 7th and 8th are Rifai and Lindblad. Lindblad's going to try and make the bid on Rifai. He's hoping to try and make the young man from Dubai make the mistake. But Rifai is not budging. Lindblad down the crest at the corkscrew, trying to keep close to Rifai. Has a chance, and in behind them you've got James Bezique from Australia. Is there going to be a way through? No, not the way that this is being held by Federico Rifai. This is good work from everybody in the race. It is totally clean all the way through. Certainly no need for safety cars this time. Rinicella hunting down Wagachukwu if he can get back there. The MP crew are hoping so. And still there's battles in the field everywhere. Some great battles. Rifai and Lindblad still dueling over 7th with Bezique in the background. Abkasava, Bora, Lyle and Gouda, then Nicola Lacorte, Will McIntyre. Car 18, track limits at turn 20. That's the final bend. First warning. So that is going to be for Luciano Morano of Santaloc. He's the one who actually faced the wrong way at the final turn. Still they battle. That is one of the Mumbai Falcons cars having a duel. That is Rishon Rajiv, the Indian driver, hanging on in front of Valentin Klus. And Valentin Klus has not had the best of races this time. He needs to work his way back. But here's the top 5, 7.5 to go. And Tuka Tarpanen really is now spitting exhaust fumes of James Wharton. But the fastest man on the track is Yuga Wagachukwu in 3rd. This race isn't over yet, folks. Still, they continue to battle. Down the drag strip straight. And look at how close Tarpanen is getting to Wharton. Wharton can't afford to make this mistake. Got to keep it together. Tarpanen will put him under pressure. Who cares if they're teammates? At this level, it's every man for himself. Tuka Tarpanen hunting down an opportunity. Khan 91, track limits at turn 4, first warning. So that is Sebastian Murray from the competition team. You can tell now that the tyres are starting to drop away. Wharton, Tarpanen, Ogachukwu, Rinicella, David and Yamakoshi. The Australian leading the way. In fact, we've got 3 Australians in the top 20. James Wharton, Noah Lyle. And also in the mix there we have James Pizik in 9th place. It's been a very strong year for the Australian talent in F4 UAE. And still James Wharton holds on to the lead of this race. Tuka Tarpanen is reeling him in, little by little. Faster than Wharton in the first sector, a fraction off in the second sector, and by a fraction, I mean 0.08 of a second. Tarpanen has not given up hope. Wharton is not going to be beaten easily. Up over the top of the crest. Ogachukwu is right there in 3rd. He knows that these two could clatter into each other, and he could pick up a 5th win out of 9 starts. He's not given up either. Here we go again, trying to break the toe of Tarpanen. Through turn 1, flat on the throttle. Wharton, a second-year racer in F4, don't forget. He was here last year. Tarpanen, though, is a new boy. This is only his 9th car race. He won his 8th. Tarpanen reeling in Wharton, just sitting in the toe, waiting for his chance, getting close down the back straight. And again, Tarpanen quicker than Wharton in sector 1. That's because of the draft. But Wharton really needs to pick it up in sectors 2 and 3 to thwart any type of attack. And Yuga Ogachukwu just set another fastest lap, a 1:54.5. This is a really interesting battle now. This isn't a race that's been squandered in terms of laps by safety cars or yellow flags or red flags. It's just a pure thrash. And it turns out the racing between these two teammates is just as good as if it was stop-start under safety cars. Tarpanen still working hard here to get one over on James Wharton. And this time, they haven't had a moment's peace in the last 20 minutes. Time is running out. When that clock gets to 0, the end of the lap will come, and then they'll have one more lap on top of that. Tarpanen has not given up. Wharton's looking slightly sideways, but then so too is Tarpanen. Everybody's starting to sweat as this becomes a nail-biter. Can Wharton hang on? Yuga Ogachukwu is still there in 3rd position, waiting for these two to crack under the pressure, and Wharton drifting a little bit under brakes. Ogachukwu hunting them down big time. He's taken a massive chunk of time out of Tarpanen's position. Black and white flag for track limits for the number 18. That is Luciano Morano. Here we go through turn 1. I think Ogachukwu is actually going to get to Tarpanen before Tarpanen gets to Wharton. But down the drag strip straight. The drag strip is just off to your left as you look down towards turn 1. But this is a really tough situation. All 3 of them are very close together now. This is all going to be down to who makes the mistake first. The race will be decided by these 3. It might not be any of them that wins, of course, indirectly. They could end up all falling off the road. But you really can feel the tension. Further back, good race battles everywhere. Just in behind Akshay Bora, we've got Nicola Lacorte dueling with the Australian Noah Lyle. McIntyre is behind them as well, so there's battles everywhere you look. And there's a good duel coming down the drop as well between Keanu Alazadi and Bianca Bustamante. And it looks like the young man from Dubai, who lives on the beautiful Palm Jumeirah, is just in front of Philippines' hottest talent, Bianca Bustamante. Zachary David is a fairly hot talent from Philippines as well. He's a race winner this year. Bustamante is a point scorer. So it looks like that country has got plenty of potential future in motorsport up the road. But these 3 still pushing. Tarpanen drifting a little bit wide. That might be enough for Ogachukwu to have a sniff of it going into turn 2. Gotta take this so careful. Down the crest again. Tarpanen hunting down Wharton. There is Yugo Ugachukwu, very much following in the path of Lewis Hamilton, the British driver who was the sole representative of the McLaren Junior program back in his day. Now Yugo is the sole representative of the McLaren Junior program, and he wants to go exactly the same distance in his career. 1 minute 34 to go. I think they're going to run out of time at the end of this lap, so this is going to be the penultimate lap. Luciano Morano is going to need to report to the stewards after the race for constantly abusing track limits. Here goes Ugachukwu. He'll dive in on Tarpanen. He has a go, and they've collided. They've locked wheels, and Tarpanen and Ugachukwu are out. Oh my goodness. The championship leader, Yugo Ugachukwu, tangles with the Tiger. The pair of them are out, and James Wharton has suddenly got a magical, dominant victory coming his way. This could end under safety car, because if those two cars can't move, who would have thought it would get as dramatic as that? Here's the move again. Ugachukwu, conventional overtake. Tarpanen tries to come across. Ugachukwu commits. They try to leave each other a bit of space, but they just tangle wheels. And once you're hooked, that's it. You're going off the road. And Ugachukwu and Tarpanen are out. Safety car, safety car. This race is going to end behind the safety car. And it's going to be Wharton from Rinicella and David. James Wharton will score 25 points. Tarpanen, nothing. Ugachukwu, nothing. Wow. All of a sudden, this championship flight has been blown wide open. Coming up to this race, Ugachukwu was on 142, James Wharton was on 106. The gap, 36 points. James Wharton is about to take 25. Ugachukwu will have nothing. This championship fight has just gone nuclear. James Wharton is about to win his second race of the season, and this puts him right into the warpath of the championship title. Rinicella is going to go back into third place, and there is the ignominy, the scenes. Atuka Tarpanen and Yugo Ugachukwu. Tarpanen calmly getting out of his car. Ugachukwu refusing to. He can't believe it. The championship leader, it's all fallen apart. His massive lead of 36 points is going to be slashed in a little under 3 minutes time when Wharton crosses the line under safety car to win and score 25 points. This is big. This is big. This championship suddenly got interesting again. Ugachukwu was cantering to the title, but a collision with Tarpanen with 6 races to go, that 36-point gap is going to be absolutely destroyed to just a mere 11. That is more than achievable for James Wharton, and he'll know it. Oh, and there's 2 more cars having parked up. That is the 30, alongside one of the PHMs. We didn't see that one happen, so that is a problem elsewhere. That is Theo Jensen and Noah Stromsted. Didn't see what happened between those two, but Noah Stromsted and Theo Jensen are off the road as well now. Gadashkedo out of the race. So is Quintarelli. So is Jensen and Stromsted. And now so are Tarpanen and Ugachukwu. We had a pretty perfect race up until that move from Ugachukwu, and then the race ends under safety car. But it's what it does to the championship fight that is the most significant outcome. A 36-point lead is about to become just 11. And for James Wharton, this couldn't be better. A win with his main rivals scoring nothing. This is a fairy tale for the Australian. Suddenly, he gets a chance to run through in fine style. An amazing run for all of the competitors. It was a very close race. I'm very pleased indeed that it was a pure one up until that moment between Tarpanen and Nugachukwu. We had a great run. But now comes the moment of jubilation and rejuvenation for James Wharton. Not only is he going to take a win, but he'll score 25 points when Tarpanen and Nugachukwu will score nothing. So Wharton will take the victory, which he does, in front of Rinicella by only 53 thousandths of a second. And Wharton wins. And having seen his big rivals, Tarpanen and Nugachukwu, off the road, he knows the significance of that victory. 25 points when his big rivals score nothing. This championship is back on. What an outcome for James Wharton. Suddenly, he is in the hunt again. There are 6 races to go, 2 more weekends. 10 days from now, we return to the Dubai Autodrome. A week after that, Yas Marina in Abu Dhabi. And James Wharton could not be more happy with this win. 25 points when Tarpanen scores none, Nugachukwu scores none. It's game on. Just when we thought the championship might be over. If anything, it's just getting started. James Wharton wins for the 2nd time in 2023. What a performance from James Wharton. Utterly deserved his 2nd win of the year. 3 different winners from the 3 races then. Nugachukwu, Tarpanen and Wharton. Easily emerging as the best 3 drivers in this category. But Rinicella in 2nd place is never that far away, is he? So all of a sudden, this is certainly turning into a nail-biting title battle. Let's look at the drivers behind the podium. Wharton, Rinicella and David. We need to point out that in 4th place is Federico Rifai. From XL Motorsport, he has charged his way through, the young man from Dubai, in 4th position. What a run from Federico Rifai. Such an impressive drive. Arvid Lindblad finishes 5th. A good run there. 6th position for James Bezique. And then Hiyu Yamakoshi, Dion Gauda in the points. Alex Abkasava, and scoring points for the first time, Mr. Invincible himself, Akshay Bora. What a great race. It's been a week of firsts here in Kuwait Motor Town. But what an amazing battle we now have in this championship. A huge lead has been cut by more than half. A win for Wharton, 25 points. Tarpanen scores 0 in this race. So too does Nugachukwu. What a sensational race battle from James Wharton. And now the championship begins. 6 races to go, and he's only 11 points back. Bring it on! This is going to be a big celebration. James Wharton is very happy. The sense of relief will be magic. And for the next 10 days, the momentum and the psychological edge is going to be with him. Incident between Nugachukwu and Tuka Tarpanen under investigation. This might not even be over yet. If one of them gets a grid penalty for race 1 at Dubai, then things get very interesting indeed. James Wharton wins from Valerio Rinicella and Zachary David. But check out the point scorers behind. Federico Rifai is 4th. Lindblad is 5th. James Bezique, a brilliant 6th. Yamakoshi, Gauda, Abkasava and Akshay Bora. Well done, all of you. You utterly deserve the points. 11th place for Nicola Lacorte from Noah Lyle and Will McIntyre. Chiano Alazari, 14th place. What a comeback. Bianca Bustamante and Lena Bueller drove beautifully, 15th and 16th. From Kanato Lee, Valentin Klus, Rishon Rajiv and Hamdar Al-Kubaisi. What an amazing race. A pure race up until the collision. And that's what F4 UAE can give you. Some great drama. Down in the pits, James Wharton is now with Feline Wang.
Hey James, brilliant job, and tell us more about it. This is your second win of the season. Also, you earned yourself a very valuable 25 points for the season.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was one of the hardest races I've ever done. First race here without safety cars, so didn't know what the tires we got to do, but kept my head, and other people's mistake is what I need to capitalize at the moment, and we're time to win the championship now. 25 points in the bag, but still a long way to go.
Okay, congratulations. 那刚刚呢，我们是问到 James， 他说呢，他开始起步之后呢，就还好，但是呢，在安全车之后呢，也有很多的事故发生。不过呢，他依然保持了领先的位置，最后拿到了冠军。那么这个也让他在整个的一个赛季当中的总积分榜上有一个很好的积分。不过呢，还有很长的路要走。Back to you guys.
Thank you, Feline. A great victory for James Wharton. For me, though, the driver of the race has got to be Federico Rafai. Started P15th, charged forward to P4. Great work from the XL Motorsport team. And I'm fairly sure that is the best result for an Emirate team or driver this season so far. Excellent work. Let's look back over the highlights. A very interesting race, not just for the pure battle of an F4 car duel, but also in terms of the championship ramifications. A solid start from the Mumbai Falcons up front as Wharton got into the lead. Tarpanen and Ugachukwu gave chase from Rinicella. Quintarelli, sadly, going nowhere. Down the drop through the corkscrew. And for once, everything's squeaky clean. Sort of. A couple of drivers going wide, but a pure battle ensued. For Jesse Carrasquedo, a chance to win after leading initially, falling away. He would eventually retire from the race. But the battle raged up front as three drivers duelled for the win. Rinicella dropped back in fourth position, but it was all left to the protagonists, Wharton, Tarpanen and Ugachukwu. The tension and the pressure mounted and built to a crescendo until finally Ugachukwu had had enough. He went for the move on Tarpanen and there wasn't quite enough space for two. They locked wheels and it's game over. No points for either man, and Ugachukwu's 36-point lead is slashed to just 11 by the race winner, James Wharton. Rinicella and David in a strong second and third. Federico Rafai from P15 to P4. Lindblad in the top 5. And what a brilliant race. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. James Wharton on the top step, Valerio Rinicella on the second, and Zachary David on the third. And he is the man who picks up the winning rookie trophy as well. A very calm and mature visit to the Kuwait Motor Town circuit for Zach David. Race 3 in Kuwait. On both meetings, he picks up the rookie win. Rinicella, a big haul of points for the MP Motorsport driver. He's not out of this title fight at all. In fact, he's right in it now. But the Motorsport director here at Kuwait is the man who gives the trophy to James Wharton. This championship fight is alive and kicking. 11 points is the gap. Bring on Dubai, says James Wharton. I'm ready. A fabulous new battle ignites with 6 races to go in F4 United Arab Emirates 2023. And it could go anybody's way. Bring on the fight. Bring on the spray. Great racing in F4 UAE. Amazing stuff. And now we go to Dubai for round 4 on the Autodrome once again. Who's going to triumph? Well, it's tough to tell. Will it be James Wharton or Yuga Ugachukwu? The battle reignites 10 days from now back in the United Arab Emirates. I'm Jake Sanderson. Thanks for tuning in here at Kuwait Motor Town to the F4 UAE Championship 2023. See you soon.